Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Rudy, I'm a Power Apps developer, and now I'm going to talk about date pickers. Let's review some important concepts and also learn some important functions that we use when we manipulate date. This video is a lesson from my full course that you can find in the pinned comments. Now let's go to the lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn another important control, that's the date picker. You're going to use it a lot across our apps when you need to select a date to submit it for a form, for requesting something, for example, or when you want to filter dates on records. If you have a table, you want to filter the requests for that day or after that day and so on, you can use a date picker to select and filter. So let's get started and let's go to our app and insert a date picker control. In order to do that, we are going to go to Insert, Input again, and then we have Date Picker. Now I'm going to use this left side of my screen. I know it's a mess, but it's just for exploring the controls. We're almost done with this page, with the main controls. So now, let's take a look at this one. First, I'm going to rename it. Let's call DTE Date. I will put a label before it, saying to the user, inform your birth date, for example. So I will just put this text on top of it, and then in the text property, I'm going to put inform your birth date. And then if we play the app, let's see how it behaves. I'm going to play, and then I can click on it, and we see a calendar. This is a default calendar. We cannot customize much, except for some fields that we are going to see soon, but visually, there's not much to change. Now I can select a date. I can navigate across the years here. I can click in the year to select a year that's in the past, then month, and pick a date. Now we see the date in here. And how do we get the selected date? Let's see. Well, I'm going to insert another text just to show the selected date on it. But after it, and then let's try to access the properties of this date picker that's called DTE Date. So now in this text, let's put DTE Date dot, and then we have the options here. Well, as you can see, it's not dot text, it's not dot value, not dot selected item. It's different from all the others we saw before, but we can guess looking at the existing properties we see here. And we have here selected date. That's it. So we click on selected date. Now we see the date that's selected in here. Notice that the format will adapt to the browser language, so you may see different results here. But we have now some properties that we can play with it to show in a different way. For example, if we select the date picker, we have the format, so year, month, for example. And then when we select a date, we see only the year and the month, but the date is still selected. We have a short, so if we play, then we select a date, we see in the short formats, and we have that one that we just saw, that's the long abbreviated. For displaying the date, you can use the text function if you want to display in a different way. For example, we use the function called text. Then the first parameter is the selected dates. And now we can tell how we want to format this. Let's put double quotes, close the parentheses, and here we can say, for example, dd-mm-yy. Year. Okay? Now actually, the letters should be lowercase. And then we see that's formatted in a different way. If I put 3 M's, then I see the month name, and so on. So I can use this to format the date in the way I need. You can see more of this in the documentation. This text function is very useful for formatting texts. Let me show you here in the documentation how useful it is. For example, I have some examples here formatting dates. There are several ways to do it. And we have some default names as well if you want to use, for example, shorts, long date time. I can go to the app, and then instead of putting this text, I can put DateTimeFormat, and we have several formats here that I can choose from. So let's say long date time. and then it shows like this. As you can see, the time of the selection is midnight, 12 a.m. Since I cannot choose the time, it will always put midnight. If I go to this date picker and change the date time zone to UTC, then it will show in UTC time, which to me is 2 a.m. where I am right now. But most of the times you will want only the date part, not the hour. So you will use some formulas to disregard that part. Right. We talked in the previous lesson that we can reset a control. So we can use a button to reset that date input. I'm just copying the button that I have here in the app already. And in the button on select, I will reset the date input, DateAdd. So if I click on the button, that date input will reset and it will be blank. I did this so we can go to the date selector and see another property. That's the selected date. Well, this is the parameter we use to read the selected date. But if I go to the selected date and put, for example, today, that's another function. I just put today, open and close parentheses. By default, I will have the selected date in here. So now every time I press reset, it's going to go to today by default. I can select any other date, and if I click in there, it's going to reset to today. So this is one important property that we can work with, making sure, for example, that today is always selected when I start the app. Well, we can also limit the dates that can be selected. If we go to the properties drop-down, we have, for example, start date, and we also have end dates. Where is it? Here, end date. This is the minimum and the maximum date. So let's say that I cannot select a date in the future. So in the end date, I can put today. And then as we can see, if we play and try to select a future date, it's not enabled. Same for an old date. Let's say I can only select dates from this month. So starting on the 1st of January in this case. What I'm going to do is in the start date is putting the 1st of January of 2026. In this case, I'm going to use a function called date that's going to create a date for me. And then I open parentheses, I inform the year, 2026, then the month first, then the day. So now this is the 1st of January. If I play and try to select another date, I cannot. So I'm limiting for only the dates in this year until today, because the start date is the first day of the year and the end date is today. Well, you can use other functions if you need to manipulate dates, sum dates, subtract dates, and so on. Just to give you some examples, let's say, I'm just copying and pasting this one. Let's say that we have a follow-up date in the future. So it's the selected date plus 10 days. What you're going to do is DateAdd, then the date that we want to add to, in this case, is the selected date. So DateDate.SelectedDate. The number of units that I want to add, in this case, 10, and then a comma, and then what's the time unit. In this case, I mentioned is 10 days. I could add 10 months. I could add 1 month, or seconds, or hours, and so on. In this case is 10 days. If I close the parentheses, then I see that it added 10 days to the selected dates. So here's the 13th, here is the 23rd. Again, if I want, I can even format this inside a text function. So I put as the first parameter the result of the operation, and then DateTimeFormat dot long date for close parentheses. And then we see in the other formats. If I wanted to subtract 10 days, then I would put -10, for example, -10 days. Then is the 3rd of January. If I want to subtract 10 years, I just do time units dot years. So 10 years ago was 2016. You got the point, right? Let's put days again. Okay, now Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, I will show the DateDiff function. In this case, To make it easy, I will just going to give some enters here for the text function because I want to keep this format when showing. What matters is this part of the formula. And let's say now I want to know how many days we have from the selected date to the last day of the year. So let's say I want to calculate how many days are left in this year. In this case, I'm going to use the DateDiff. So DateDiff. Then we put the start date, which in this case is the selected date, DateDate, that's the selector dot selected dates. Now we put the end date. I know that the end of the year is 31st of December of 2026. So I'll put date 2026, month 12, day 31. And then I close the parentheses and put a comma. And let's see the results. Well, didn't work very well. Okay, I missed the time units. So in the third parameter of the DateDiff, we put, let's say, days. Since this is returning actually a number, it's going to return a number of days. This formatting is not valid because it's not a date. I will remove it and keep only the DateDiff function. Now we should see the correct value. So we have 352 days until the end of the year from the selected dates. If I select the first day of the year, we have 364. We could count in months or in hours. In this case, we just changed the last argument to be time unit dot hours, for example. So 8,700 and something hours. Months, 11 months. So it doesn't count the whole 12 months because we already passed 1 day. Same for the days and so on. So you need to do some tests and see exactly how the formula behaves and adapt to your needs. So to summarize this lesson, we learned a lot about the date picker, and you're going to see that in future lessons when we develop real apps and we need to select dates for some reason. You also learn how to convert formats using the text function and how to do operations, adding dates, subtracting dates, calculating the difference between two dates, and setting important properties in the date picker. Now let's get to a difference control. See you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching. I'll leave you a recommended video. And if you want to see the full course without distractions, without interruptions, without me talking about the course, you can look at the pinned comments. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and bye-bye.